Hello, I'm your host, KJ1, and I'll be going over the North Korean ghost ships for the day. The battered wooden ghost ships drift through the Sea of Japan for months. Their only cargo, the corpses of starved North Korean fishermen whose bodies have been reduced to skeletons. Last year, more than 150 of these macabre vessels washed ashore in Japan, and there have been more than 500 in the past 5 years. For years, the phenomenon mystified Japanese police, whose best guess was that climate change pushed the population further from North Korea, the squid population, driving the country's desperate fishermen dangerous distances from shore where they become stranded and die from exposure. But an investigation based on new satellite data and conducted by an international team of academic researchers, Ian Urbina, a former NYT investigative reporter who now directs the Outlaw Ocean Project, and Global Fishing Watch, a nonprofit organization that specializes in the use of satellite technology and AI to track illegal activities on the high seas, have revealed what marine researchers say is a more likely explanation. That China is sending a previously invisible armada of industrial boats to illegally fish in North Korean waters, violently displacing smaller North Korean boats, and spearheading a decline in once abundant squid stocks of more than 70%. The Chinese vessels, nearly 800 in 2019, appear to be in violation of UN sanctions that forbid foreign fishing in North Korean waters. The sanctions imposed in 2017 in response to the country's nuclear tests were intended to punish North Korea by not allowing it to sell fishing rights in its waters in exchange for valuable foreign currency. For years, Japan's north coast, so these boats are now more than 600 miles from their homeland. So in 2017, more than 100 boats landed on the Japanese coast with 35 bodies on board, and only 66 boats had washed up the year prior. No one was able to explain why so many of these so called ghost ships ended up in Japan that year. One Japanese Coast Guard said it could be as simple as the weather, and others speculated that North Korean aging fishing fleet was to blame. More of these rickety boats have washed up on shore en masse since, though with fewer bodies. The mystery has puzzled authorities for years, but a study published Wednesday that it blames Chinese dark fishing fleets. The report's authors used various satellite technologies to analyze marine traffic in Northeast Asia in 2017 and 2018 and found that hundreds of Chinese fishing vessels were sailing in waters off North Korea. The Chinese ships appear to be fishing there illegally, pushing North Korea's own fleet further away from the North Korean coast and into Russian and Japanese waters. So Pyongyang's fish trade, which was worth an estimated $300 million a year, was sanctioned in 2017 by the UNSC as part of its effort to push the Kim Jong-un regime for its repeated ballistic missile tests that year. And the nonprofit said that these Chinese ships likely caught more than 160,000 metric tons of Pacific flying squid, one of the region's most valuable seafood products, in those 2 years. That's more than South Korea and Japan combined during the same period. The estimated catch was worth more than $440 million. While it's not clear if North Korea can have made that much money from fishing its own waters, it now appears that Pyongyang was able to recoup some of its lost catch by selling fishing rights to foreign operators, most likely the Chinese. A UN report in March claimed that North Korea earned an estimated $120 million by selling or transferring fishing rights that were in direct violation of UN sanctions. Jae-yoon Park, a senior data scientist at Global Fishing Watch and co-lead author of the study, said that the vessels spotted comprised about one-third the size of China's entire distant water fishing fleet and is the largest known case of illegal fishing perpetrated by vessels originating from one country operating in another nation's waters. With so many ships near the North Korean coast, the country's own fishing fleet was then pushed out, forced to sail further away from shore to find their catch, and the consequences have been deadly. It's too dangerous for them to work in the same waters as the Chinese travelers. That's why they were pushed out to work in Russian and Japanese waters, and that explains why some of North Korea's damaged vessels showed up on the beaches of Japan. A boat suspected of being from North Korea with several bodies was found on a small island in northern Japan, according to the Japanese Coast Guard. The wrecked boat that had the decomposing bodies was found on Sado Island in Niigata Prefecture on Friday, and the bodies were found Saturday, according to a Coast Guard. Found on the boats were 3 bodies with heads, 2 heads without bodies, and 2 bodies without heads. Okay. It's officially counted as 7 bodies because it's unclear whether the bodies and heads came from the same people, and the 5 bodies for which the gender could be confirmed were all male. North Korea begins key meetings before the year-end deadline for the U.S. And the area was where the boat was found faces North Korea and is the region where such boats, dubbed ghost ships by the Japanese media, have been found in recent years, numbering about 100 each year. North Korean shipping boats, which are usually poorly equipped, are believed to be under pressure to catch more fish for the nation's food supply and are wandering further and further out to sea. Sometimes North Koreans are found alive on such boats and have then been deported. Japan and North Korea have no diplomatic ties, and Japan has stepped up patrols in coastal areas to guard against fishing and poaching. This has been your host, Luke. KJ1. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe for more. And I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching.